Plant manager, we could greatly reduce the amount of sulfur dioxide our copper smelting plant releases into the atmosphere by using a new process. The new process requires replacing our open furnaces with closed ones and moving the copper from one furnace to the next in solid, not molten form. However, not only is the new equipment expensive to buy and install, but the new process also costs more to run than the current process because the copper must be reheated after it's cooled. So overall, adopting the new process will cost much, but bring the company no profit. Okay. And then supervisor, I agree with your overall.
What is the plant manager's conclusion?
That basically the new process that they just explained will be expensive, but won't profit the company.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I agree with supervisor says, I agree with your overall conclusion, but disagree about one point you make since the latest closed furnaces are extremely fuel efficient. So at this point, then I'd probably go back to the plant manager and then look closer at like what he said about closed or what they said about closed furnaces. So
yeah, what is this one point that he disagrees with?
Yeah. So what is it about one point are extremely fuel efficient? We could greatly reduce the amount of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere by using a new process. The new process requires replacing our open furnaces with closed ones and moving the copper. However, not only is the new equipment expensive to buy and install, the new process also costs more to run. So I think he thinks that, so I think the supervisor thinks that the closed furnaces are fuel efficient, so they'll cost less to run or something. Because it says the plant manager saying that the new process costs more.
Excellent. Okay.
So then the point about which the supervisor expresses disagreement with the plant manager is releases less sulfur dioxide. Okay, not A.
Why not?
Whether because I think they're not talking about like what's released in the atmosphere.
Actually, yeah, whether it releases less or not, we're not talking about. Yeah, this is an environmental statement.
Yeah. And then B, I would probably keep. It's more expensive. Yeah. And then C, I wouldn't keep.
Yeah, whether the new process should be adopted. So why don't you like C?
Well, I think they're not necessarily talking about whether it should be adopted or not. They're more so talking about what, like, the expense of it.
Yeah, and the supervisor has definitely doesn't give an opinion on whether it should or should not.
It should be, right, yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay. So whether closed copper smelting furnaces are more fuel efficient than open furnaces. I would probably keep that one too.
Okay.
Yeah, and then whether cooling and reheating the copper will cost more than moving it in molten form. I would take away that one.
Okay. Why would you take away E?
Because wait, hold on. Moving in molten form. But the new process also costs more to run than the current process because the copper must be reheated after it has been cooled. Well, I think that they're not really talking about that, about like what form it's supposed to be moving.
Yeah, and what that cost will be.
Right. Okay, so since the latest closed furnaces are extremely fuel efficient, is what the supervisor says. Whether the new copper. So I think it's D. Okay. Because of what the supervisor says.
Okay, so let's go back and what would the plant manager say to B? Yes, no, or I don't know.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. What would the plant manager say to D?
Oh, the plant manager say to D.
So whenever it says whether, so for let's just say like closed copper smelting furnaces are more fuel efficient than open.
Yeah. Furnaces. So okay, say to D. I think I don't know.
We don't know. And so when it's I don't know, what do? We get to cross it
off. It. Right.
And then what would the supervisor say to B?
Okay. Whether the new, oh yes, because they agree with the conclusion. Oh wait, but disagree with one point you make since the latest. Oh, they're more, okay, so basically you have to make the inference that because they're more fuel efficient, they're less expensive. So they would say no.
Yes, excellent. And that's why it's going to be B.
Okay.